Hello, and this is day 24 of me posting. And this today, lend me your ears, O true Christians, followers of Jesus Yeshua. So many have been deceived by this administration, but they said even the elect will be deceived. So I am going to help my fellow followers, true followers. Well, let me just say, the ones that have been bewitched, the ones that appear to be under some spell or trance. When I think I reposted something where a guy was talking about what mega, MAGA means in different languages, and nothing was good about it. And that just also caused me to see that there's a spirit with that. And it's a major spirit of deception, and it's a bewitching spirit, because some people, there is a lady who had really lost her mind. I was going to try to post it, but I just couldn't. But I wanted to share this to help people. There's so many behaviors that was contrary to the values that Jesus taught. And now if we are followers of Jesus, then come on. The teachings of Jesus emphasizes love, humility, kindness, forgiveness, and justice, among other values. So let's see how the person in the White House presently measures up. Disregarding the poor and the marginalized. Jesus taught the importance of caring for the poor, hungry, and marginalized. Matthew 25, verses 35 through 40. The minister's policies, such as cuts to social welfare programs, healthcare, and his stance on immigration, and prioritizing wealth over the needs of the most vulnerable, is not what Jesus taught. Immigration and the other. Jesus emphasized the importance of welcoming strangers. Matthew 25, verse 35. The rhetoric on immigration, including building of border walls, has been seen as contrary to this value of welcoming strangers. Lack of humility. Jesus encouraged humility and servant leadership. Matthew 20, verses 26 through 28. Often, the mister is brash, boastful, and self-aggrandized behavior, such as repeatedly claiming to be the best at everything. And this is definitely contradictory to humility. Rhetoric of division. Jesus preached peace and reconciliation. Matthew 5, verse 9. John 14, verse 27. The mister's divisive language, including insults against political opponents, minorities, and critics, is contrary to the call for unity and peace. Sexual morality and adultery. Jesus spoke about adultery and lustful behavior. Matthew 5, verses 27 through 28. The Mister has a history of infidelity, and his involvement in the Stormy Daniels scandal has raised questions about his alignment with Jesus' teaching. Forgiveness versus vindictiveness. Jesus taught forgiveness, even of enemies. Matthew 18, verses 21 through 22. Luke chapter 6, verses 27 through 28. And the Mister's tendency to hold grudges, often attacking individuals who have criticized him. This runs counter to the idea of forgiveness. And even now, having, I'm going to call him Mr. Orange and Mr. Muskie, going after those who do not agree. Now, I want you to think about this. Even going against states where the governors do not agree with what they're doing because it's not right what they are doing. But when Mr. Biden was in place, he didn't withhold anything from the red states or those states that did not agree with his policy or spoke ill of him. He did not do anything vindictive. So think about that. Dishonesty and truthfulness. Jesus identified himself as the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. Mr. Orange has frequently misrepresented facts, with many of his statements being labeled as false or misleading. So this contradicts truthfulness. Respect for authority. Jesus respected authority, but also challenged unjust systems. Mark 12:17. Mr. Orange has consistently undermined institutions and checks and balances, particularly when he disregards legal norms or attacks the judiciary. And even now, his administration is ignoring orders that are coming from the judiciary. Lack of compassion for the sick. Jesus showed compassion for the sick, healing them and advising care for those in need. Matthew 9, verse 12. Mr. Orange's approach to healthcare, including his attempts to dismantle the Affordable Care Act without a clear replacement, is seen as lacking compassion for the sick and the poor. Materialism versus spiritual wealth. Jesus warned about the dangers of wealth and materialism, and definitely the love of money is the root of all evil. Money isn't evil, but the love of it, where we have these billionaires trying to regulate the lives of middle class and lower class, is ridiculous. Matthew 6, verses 19 through 21. Mr. Orange is a quote unquote, wealthy businessman, often emphasizes material success and personal wealth, which definitely distracts from the Christian principle of prioritizing spiritual richness. Leadership by serving. Jesus exemplified servant leadership, washing the feet of his disciples. John 13, verses 12 through 17. Mr. Orange leads in a more authoritative manner. He said he's the king. He's self-centered, which shows no humility and no true servanthood. Attitude towards women. Jesus treated women with dignity and respect, including breaking societal norms to speak with them. John 4, verses 7 through 30. Mr. Orange has been criticized for misogynistic behavior, such as grab them by the boo boo boo. And his other treatment of women in the workplace, as well as calling them out of their name. Generosity and charity. Jesus taught the importance of generosity and giving, Matthew 6, verses 2 through 4. Mr. Orange, his reluctance to donate personal wealth, particularly during his presidency, is inconsistent with the teachings of generosity. And you see everything he's trying to even take away that the government and the taxpayers have put into the pot. He's even trying to take that away from the people who need it. Responsibility to protect the environment. Jesus did not explicitly address environmental issues, but being a steward over the earth is a divine mandate in Genesis 2, verses 15. But Mr. Orange is rolling back environmental protections, withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. So his land, our land, whose land is he protecting? Respect for the truth and honesty in speech. Jesus condemned false witness and lies. Matthew 15, verse 19. Trump's frequent use of exaggerations, false claims, and the encouragement of his followers to question reputable sources of information are viewed by some, and should be by many, as a violation of this biblical value. So those are just a few. I had some more. Let's see. But the thing is, people are marching and stating this, and they're not going to the word of God, testing the spirit by the spirit, but leaning more into being deceived. And what about the golden rule? The golden rule. Jesus taught, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7, verse 12. Mr. Orange's public insults and belittling remarks towards others, including his treatment of other political opponents, journalists, and marginalized groups, contradict this core teaching of treating others with respect and kindness. And what about justice and fairness? Jesus emphasized justice for the oppressed and marginalized. Luke 4, verses 18 through 19. Mr. Orange's policies, particularly in the areas like criminal justice reform or his stance on issues of racial inequality, have not been sufficiently focused on justice or fairness for historically oppressed groups. And what about releasing all of those who did the quote unquote insurrection? Had to say that fast. You know, you don't know. You could get bombed. And what about self-control and anger? Jesus warned against anger and retaliation. Matthew 5, verse 22, Matthew 26, verse 52. His frequent outbursts on social media and his tendency to lash out at critics and adversaries rather than demonstrating self-control is definitely contrary to what Jesus taught. Dishonoring the sanctity of marriage. Jesus spoke about the sanctity of marriage and warned against divorce except in case of infidelity. Well, Mr. Man, Matthew 19, 4 through 6, Mr. Man had multiple divorces, and it is quote unquote allegedly cheated on the wives. Empathy for the disenfranchised. Jesus spent a great deal of time with those who were marginalized or disenfranchised, such as lepers, tax collectors, and sinners. Luke 7:34. Mr. Orange's rhetoric, it seems to be focused on supporting the wealthy or the powerful. And it is so evident, so very evident as the second, well, I don't know who is the first president or the second president in power right now. I don't know what is the hierarchy. I don't know if Mr. Orange is first or Mr. Muskie is first. I don't know which one. But both of them are only focused on the wealthy and the powerful. Mr. Muskie is supposed to be talking about government efficiency, yet he has increased his contracts with the DOD and NASA. So why aren't we starting there? Okay, I'm done. I hope you share this, and that's why I gave scriptures for reference, and maybe you can help wake up some of those that are bewitched, some of those that are deceived and just under a cloud of deception. Let's hope that maybe this could help them see and their eyes will be open and they will be awakened from this sleep and be ready to fight and help those that are being affected tremendously during this time under this administration. Be blessed, everyone, and have a great evening.